Welcome to Summarize Stories. Today we are breaking down the second half of the 1995 novel Wicked by Gregory Maguire. We will provide a summary of the novel, what happens and how it ends. Then we will break down the key characters, discuss key themes of the book, and provide our final thoughts. Sit back and enjoy this 5-minute summary. The second half follows Elphaba's descent as she fights against the wizard's regime while being vilified by the people of Oz. She becomes increasingly isolated, and her love affair with Fiyero, a rebellious prince, ends in tragedy when he is captured and tortured by the wizard's forces. Meanwhile, Glinda, now the Good Witch, struggles with guilt and the reality of her choices. As Dorothy arrives in Oz, manipulated by the wizard and Madame Morrible, Elphaba is further demonized. She fakes her own death after an encounter with Dorothy, allowing her to escape persecution. The novel's conclusion reveals that Elphaba may have survived, leaving her ultimate fate ambiguous. Glinda remains in power, and the wizard is eventually exposed as a fraud. The story ends on a bittersweet note, highlighting themes of political corruption, fate, and the consequences of perception versus truth. Key characters: Elphaba Throp, now fully seen as the Wicked Witch of the West, she fights against the wizard's regime, but becomes increasingly isolated and disillusioned. Glinda the Good. Having chosen political alignment with the wizard, Glinda struggles with guilt and the consequences of her ambition. Fiyero Tigalar. His romance with Elphaba deepens, but he suffers a tragic fate when captured and tortured by the wizard's forces. The Wizard of Oz. His influence weakens as his fraudulent nature is exposed. His control over Oz begins to crumble. Dorothy Gale, a naive girl from Kansas, manipulated into believing Elphaba is a villain, ultimately leading to their final confrontation. Madame Morrible, still a key enforcer of the wizard's rule, she continues spreading misinformation and fear about Elphaba. Key themes: the cost of resistance. Elphaba's fight against tyranny comes at great personal sacrifice, highlighting the struggles of revolutionaries. Betrayal and regret. Glinda's rise to power leaves her questioning whether she made the right choices. The power of misinformation. Elphaba's reputation is destroyed by propaganda, mirroring how society vilifies those who challenge authority. Love and loss. Elphaba and Fiyero's doomed romance underscores the novel's tragic elements. Ambiguity of morality. No character is purely good or evil, reinforcing the complexity of human nature. The second part ultimately concludes Elphaba's journey, leaving her fate open to interpretation while exposing the corruption of Oz's ruling class.